Hello, 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 everyone. Thanks for joining me. And if you're here today, you're probably here because I am talking about the expert type of imposter syndrome. And I have a new mouse tonight. So it's what is that, magic apple or whatever it is. So yeah, we're trying to, navigate using this one. So it might take me a couple of seconds sometimes to find where things are as I click around. I do want to say welcome and thanks for joining. If you can hear me, just drop a one in the chat for me. And I thought I turned off my phone, and I did not. So to keep it from going off, let's just put that on mute. I appreciate you for joining. Welcome to those of you on Facebook. And if you're seeing this on YouTube, you too are welcome. Or if you're seeing this on LinkedIn, you're welcome. On Twitter, wherever you might be. And be it good evening, good morning, good night. I thank you for joining me. Like I said, today we're talking about the expert imposter syndrome. And if this is your first time meeting me, I'm Dr. Tawana Carter, and I'm here every Wednesday at this time, every single last Wednesday, well, most Wednesdays, right? But you can count on me being here. And as a career coach, I work with stress busy women executives who are plagued by the imposter syndrome, as well as self criticism and doubt. And I work with them to alleviate the stress so that they can find peace of mind and fully focus on excelling in their careers. So, we know one of those stumbling blocks or those hiccups that we run into is imposter syndrome, right? Now, if you're like me, I know you've heard about imposter syndrome. Maybe it's just a buzzword to you, or if you've been with me for the last 4 weeks, you know that I've been dishing all the details on the 5 types of imposter syndrome, and tonight is the fifth one, right? And so these are 5 types of imposter syndrome as discovered by Dr. Valerie Young in her research, right? So those experiencing imposter syndrome, let's talk about that for a minute. You may feel insecure, you may feel like you're a fraud. There's a lot of doubt in there, and it is very difficult for you to believe that you deserve the right to be in the room or you've earned the right to be in the room, and even difficult to believe your own achievements, right? And so you may have this thought, okay, yes, I'm sitting here. Look at all these executives and these CEOs and these SMEs and all this, they belong here. I don't. I am a fraud. Somebody's gonna walk in this room at any time and say, yeah, there she is. She don't belong here. Or there he is. He don't belong here, right? Because we know that yes, men and women do experience imposter syndrome. The train of thought is more like, I'm just an intruder and I'm here amongst all these highly educated, these fantastic leaders and these corporate, and I'm in this boardroom, but I'm so out of place, I'm uncomfortable, and you may even feel intimidated if you have the imposter syndrome, right? So let's just go around here. I want to make sure I have my comments on. There they go, right there. There we go. All right, so if you do have questions or comments, be sure to drop those in the box and I will answer those while I'm on live. And oftentimes, not only feel like I don't belong, but it's like, I just got lucky. I'm not smart. I'm not talented. I'm not well bred. I don't come from money. I just got lucky. That's why I'm here. Okay. And also, the imposter syndrome can actually hit women and especially women of color really hard, right? With the intersectionality of sex and the intersectionality of race, and when you're working in spaces without a role model or representation, it can feel uncomfortable. It can feel unwelcoming, right? And especially this can go left if you're in an organization where the dominant culture is there and whether it's explicitly or implicitly. In other words, whether they are purposely excluding you, making you feel unwanted, or they're just ignorant of that and they make you feel unwanted, right? If that environment presents as hostile to women of color, the first thing we do is go, well, what's wrong with me? Or I don't feel comfortable here. I mean, I don't think I know enough. I don't belong. Okay. And it turns out that really several studies have said that world population worldwide, over 70% of people have experienced imposter syndrome. So, yes, women of color feel it. Yes, all types of women feel it, and men. Okay. So, it's really not just specified to one type of population. Students feel it as well. Okay. And it's just at some point, you may feel that, fake it till you make it where it's a new position. I just don't feel like I got enough to be here. I don't know if I'm in that space. It's a bit more than just faking it till you make it. It hangs around, right? It erodes your self-confidence. It can erode your self-esteem. And that's why, I spent the last 5 weeks talking about the imposter syndrome. Okay. Now, most of us know the imposter syndrome as the imposter syndrome and not the imposter phenomenon. But doctors Clance and Ines, when they coined this term, they actually call it imposter phenomenon. And even though it's called imposter syndrome, it's not really a medical diagnosis. I know we call it imposter syndrome, and most of the time when you hear the word syndrome, it's a medical diagnosis, but imposter syndrome is not. Right. And so Dr. Valerie Young actually went on to do further research with the imposter syndrome, and she identified these 5 types. And if you've been here, that's what I've been talking about, right? The first one, soloist or the rugged individual, is one type. We spoke about that on week 1, right? The natural genius, perfectionist, got to have everything perfect right the first time. There's a superwoman or superman. There's a perfectionist type imposter syndrome. And what we're talking about tonight, the expert. Now, if you missed any of those lives, I'm going to pop a link out here, and you can actually go to my YouTube channel and catch any of those lives that you've missed. Now, while you're on my YouTube channel, be sure that you go ahead and subscribe. Hit that little bell to subscribe, and you will get an announcement and alert every time that I drop a live, right? As well, if you kind of more like me and you do prefer, and I like video, but I gotta admit, I'm a reader. If you're like me and you prefer reading, you can also go to my Medium channel, right? And you can read about the series of articles I'm also doing there on the 5 types of imposter syndrome. So plenty of places follow, go search my name again. I'll put that it's up on YouTube right now. So I'll go back and put it on Facebook and everywhere else so you can follow and read those articles. So yes, we talked about faking it till you make it. That is how many of us feel when we were introduced into new environments or new jobs, right? But the imposter syndrome, like I said before, the expert type is actually more than that, right? And we know that when you have the expert type of imposter syndrome, you feel it is mandatory to know everything, all knowledge, every single little thing. And if there's anything you don't know, you feel like you're incompetent. Oh my God, I don't know enough. I don't deserve to be here. I don't know everything. And so what ends up happening is you will constantly seek knowledge. You will constantly seek experiences and certifications and training and take courses and still feel like you're incompetent, still feel like I don't know enough, right? The thing is, you feel like if I know everything, then I can apply for that job. If I know everything, then I can apply for that promotion. If I know everything, then I can launch my business or launch this next new product. In my work with coaches, what I find out when I work with coaches and or brand new entrepreneurs, I find that many of them struggle with this type of imposter syndrome. I've seen some coaches take class after class after class, and they go to mastermind, from mastermind to mastermind. And entrepreneurs will learn this new thing. They'll sit in this mastermind, they go here, and they keep going over and over and over, all the while still feeling like I'm insecure. I don't know enough to get started. I don't know enough to take that leap. I still don't know enough. You know, I'm not quite ready. I don't have enough knowledge yet, right? And also, I find this with the managers that I work with, okay, and leaders. They will not apply for a job until they get one. If I can get this one more class, if I can get this one more training, if I can get more experience, maybe I need 6 months of experience, maybe I need 2 more years of experience. They keep going on and on rather than, as one of my pastors say, pulling that trigger and shooting it and going ahead and taking action and do it, right? Or, I'll get the clients that are recently promoted. Yeah. They're like, oh, I got in the door. I got the job. I don't believe it. I got the job. Then it's like, oh my God, I don't know enough to be here. I was sitting in a meeting. I don't even know what they were talking about. That term is unfamiliar to me. He said something I don't understand. And it's like, I've never heard that before. Oh my God. They made a mistake. They made a mistake. I don't be here. OMG, I don't belong to be here because I don't know everything. And then imposter syndrome kicks in, and then it forces you to make mistakes, right? Because the first thing you know is, I got to learn it all. I got to learn it all now. Okay. This is the very reason that I actually changed my VIP career confidence coaching program. So rather than being just 6 weeks, it's actually 6 to 8 months. I'm sorry, rather than being just 6 months long, it's actually 6 to 8 months long, because it's like, yes, clients get the job. And it's like, what do I know? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. The imposter syndrome generally kicks in after you get the job. And so because my program is 6 to 8 months long, it is enough for the client to get the job. And then together, we make sure that we don't let the imposter syndrome force early mistakes that can actually hinder you in that job in the future. For example, I have social anxiety. I've really worked hard to overcome it, to be able to do stuff like this, get on camera and talk to people, right? I'm also an introvert, right? So my wants, those first few leadership jobs that I got, is, I walked into that leadership position, and I just kind of sat back and I observed. I'm an observer. That's what I've done all my life, right? I observed, and I would spend up to 6 months long learning things, learning knowledge, learning people, getting to know people, studying how people react, why they do as they do. Now, for many of you out there that are leaders or managers, and you like clutch your pearls, like 6 months, you sat and you looked and you observed for 6 months. I did. I admit I did, right? And for all the military officers out there watching, you're probably going like, 6 months? Are you serious? I did. I 6 months before I decided to make a move. Now, why am I saying like 6 months is 6 months is way too long to make a move and take action, right? People have already set their minds about who you are, what you can accomplish. It's already set. So by the time I was like, okay, I think I know enough to take action, people had already set their beliefs about who they felt I was, what I couldn't do. And oftentimes it was what I couldn't do, because, well, she hadn't done it in 6 months. I don't think she's capable of doing it. I didn't know that at the time, but I was just going by what was comfortable for me. I want to learn everything. I want to learn the people, right? I just want to learn. I want to know. I want to see why people act and how they behave and why they do. It was just way too long. It was way too long. And oftentimes, out of the gate, I forced errors that were almost insurmountable for me to cover or to overcome in that position. This is why coaching, having a coach, makes a huge difference, especially if you are a new leader, if you are a new manager, or you've gotten a job and you know that the imposter syndrome is really riding your back and you're struggling with it, right? I want to be clear though. When I say we talk about the expert imposter syndrome, and needing to know knowledge after knowledge, more experience, and taking this training and taking this class and getting that certification, and then the next and the next and the next. I want to make sure that you understand this is actually different from folks who just enjoy learning, right? I was able to overcome that expert imposter syndrome. I enjoy learning, right? There are people out there who just enjoy learning for the sheer joy of learning. So If you just enjoy learning for the joy of it, for the love of knowledge, you're not struggling with the expert imposter syndrome, right? Because you're not going after knowledge because you feel like you feel like you're fake, or you feel like you're a fraud, or you feel like you're trying to prove that you belong in the room, or you feel you don't feel like somebody's going to call me out at any moment and call me imposter. No, those struggling with the imposter syndrome feel that way, the expert imposter syndrome. But for those of us that enjoy learning just for learning's sake, like if I don't get a promotion, I don't get anything out of this, I don't care. I'm still reading the book, I'm still taking the class, I'm still learning, I'm still getting that degree because I love to do so. That's the difference between someone who loves learning for the sheer joy of it and someone who is struggling with the expert imposter syndrome, right? Those who struggle with the expert imposter syndrome believe that they have to have absolute knowledge of everything. And we know that's just not possible. Even if you have 5 PhDs, you still don't know everything. And there are people who get multiple PhDs and multiple degrees. You still don't know everything. And that is why, with expert imposter syndrome, you can really tear at your self advocacy and efficacy. I'm sorry, your self efficacy and your self esteem and your self confidence, right? And so, if you have the expert type imposter syndrome, want to know what to take? What do you? Because I find myself here. Is anybody out there bold enough to say this? I know this is so mean. I will admit for time this was actually me, and I'll admit quite a few of the five was actually me at different points in my life, and I am living proof that you can overcome imposter syndrome, right? And so one of the first things that you actually have to get in your brain to shift that mindset is you with being uncomfortable and not knowing everything there is to know. Number one, you just never know everything there is to know, but you got to become comfortable with being uncomfortable that you don't know everything. Okay. So it's absolutely fine. Point number two, it's absolutely fine to learn as you go along rather than saying, I have to have this much knowledge, I have to know it all right now before I can move. No, know what you know. And as you come along, if it's important for you to gain that knowledge to pick it up, then you get that knowledge, right? Because and here's the thing, getting certification after certification and degree after degree after degree doesn't automatically mean you're an expert and you know everything. It really doesn't, right? It truly does not. Okay. And for you women that are in tech fields, this is especially important for you. It actually isn't your lack of knowledge, right? That hinders you and is holding you back from moving forward. It's confidence. It's your confidence levels, right? Research has shown it's like you know what you know. You know the subject material. You know the matter. You have the certifications. You know what you know. It's being confident in knowing what you know. Okay, which is number three. In other words, be confident that you know, be confident in it. Not like I just got to go out and learn everything else. No, what you know in this box, what you know, be comfortable with that. You know, and there's sometimes that you need to apply for a job that you may need to learn something. But I'll be honest with you, the women that I coach that come in and need my help in getting that promotion or taking that next step, by the time we're done, they are already so well qualified that I often coach them. You don't need to apply for the next position. You can go to the one above that because you already know it, right? We've spent so much time and so much energy in learning knowledge that not only can you do your job, you know your boss's job. You can actually be your boss's boss because you know everything. So be confident in what you know that you know what you know, right? And here's the thing four, you don't have to know it all. You just got to be really great at going to the people who do know it. What Once I finally got over this one, what I learned to do is I would walk up to people if I was new and say, "Hey, make me an expert. Make me smart about this. Make me smart about this." And I'll let people know I'm going to ask you 1,001 questions, and I'm going to ask maybe the same question over and over, but until I know it how I want to know it, I'll keep asking. And when I get to a point, it's like, make me smart. This piece right here, make me smart on it. That was my way of saying I don't know everything, but here's a piece I may need to know. Make me smart on it, right? And as long as you're not in some type of toxic environment where people are scared to share knowledge because she's gonna know more than I know. If as long as you're not in a toxic environment, most people are open and welcoming to you to tell you what they know. Right? There's nothing more fabulous than if you have direct reports, sit down with them and say, make me smart on this. It gives them a chance to look smart in front of you because they're sharing something with you, right? I used to do it with my soldiers. I'll do, hey, stand up. Now I'm going to sit down, make me smart on this, show me how to do this, tell me how to do this, right? It gives them a chance to shine. And so it really is not a hit on you or anything. It's just that you know what you know. You know, I can honestly say, you give me 4 to 6 months, I can become an expert in knowledge, right? I can. I now understand that, yeah, I have that potential to do that, but do I really need to? Especially when I can go over to the expert and say, make me smart on X, Y. I don't need to know Z. I know Z. I don't know X, Y. You have to become comfortable in that. Become comfortable in finding your subject matter experts. Look out on your staff. They're typically people who know what they know and they know it well, and they won't mind teaching you, right? Again, you don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to go and find it. That's the big piece of it. So, yes, imposter syndrome is a real thing. And I've talked about the 5 types of imposter syndrome, and I'll flash those websites up again. If you missed video 1 through 4, you can actually go see those on my YouTube channel, and be sure to subscribe while you're there. You can also read a series of articles. I think I've got 3 written so far on medium.com. So if you're more of a reader, you can go there and read it as well, right? Now, you know, if you're sitting here and you're listening to this and it just kind of hit home just several times for you, right? You're like, oh, this is me. I mean, how do you know? It's like you're speaking to me, right? I get it. I get it. But I'm living proof that you can overcome the imposter syndrome. Shoot, I'm living proof that you can overcome inferiority complex because I had that too. Yeah, I had all the intersectionalities of all those things, right? Reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out. I do provide a complimentary 15-minute career solution call. And on that call, we talk about where you are right now, right? And then what your goals are, right? And then I'll share with you what I do. And if I'm absolutely certain that I can help you, I'll show you how to get started with the next steps. Now, we can see that 15 minutes is not enough to sell you anything because I'm not selling. Honestly, I'm not selling anything. It's just to talk about where you are and what your goals are. Because again, I know how it feels to have imposter syndrome and inferiority complex, and you're trying to move up. It is a hindrance, and it won't be until you overcome them that you can see yourself take flight. And it's easier said than you think. All right. So if you want a complimentary 15-minute career solution call, just drop next in the comments. If you're catching this live, drop next in the comments. If you've seen this on the replay, thank you for that. You too can drop next in the comments, and I'll reach out to you and I get you set up for the career solution call. Typically, I ask you for 2-3 times that we can meet, and I go look at my calendar, and then I offer you those times. You pick which one works for you. All right. So I am here to help you. So be sure that you come back next week, same time. Next week, we are moving a little bit away from imposter syndrome. We're going to be talking about setting boundaries as the only senior woman of color, strategies for success. So you don't want to miss that because I said before, sometimes there's not always representation in an office, and everyone can come to you for mentoring and all those other things, but you want to help, but how do you not get distracted or get overwhelmed so you can be successful in your job? So I'm going to be talking about strategies for you to do that next week. Thank you for hanging in there. And I just want to be sure, looked at my comments. Don't have any comments. I will see you same time next week. Thank you and have a great evening, great morning, great day.